Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron. Welcome back today to another video. It is the game preview ahead of our Premier League fixture tomorrow evening against Chelsea at Goodison Park, 8 p.m. kickoff. I do apologise if you were watching the live stream about an hour ago and you're sitting there thinking, why is it now a video? Sometimes my computer just absolutely doesn't want to play nice with live streams, and it stops and it resets and it restarts and it freezes, and I'd love to be able to just turn it off and reset it and go again, but my computer's that old practically is that it would take about 2.5 hours to do that. So I thought, you know what, we'll just sit here, we'll do it in a video. The video should run smoothly and hopefully be a better experience for everybody to watch. I'm going to try and figure out the stuff with the live streams, but over the Christmas period you'll probably be seeing a lot more videos just because my computer's acting up an awful lot recently. But anyway, Everton play Chelsea tomorrow. The more important news, Everton play Chelsea tomorrow, 8 p.m. kickoff, the late kickoff on a Saturday night. I remember when the late kickoff on a Saturday used to be half 5 and used to be able to get home and at least have a scran and maybe watch Family Fortunes or something. Now you're getting on at that, you're getting home and you're going straight to bed, aren't you? Listen, it's going to be a very, very difficult one. It certainly is going to be a very difficult one. Carlo Ancelotti had his pre-game press conference today ahead of this game. He has confirmed that James Rodriguez will miss it through an injury. James picked up a calf injury, I believe it was, earlier this week. Hasn't actually trained this week either. And, they didn't want to risk him. They've basically, Carlo has said that he won't be available tomorrow. Of course, Seamus Coleman is still unavailable. Carlo said that they're looking likely for Seamus to be back by Wednesday for the game against Leicester, but he's not available tomorrow. Fabian Delph, of course, isn't available. So we've got a lot of injury news, and this one, the James Rodriguez news really did sort of make me feel like just putting my head in my hands and crying, because now we're coming into a game against a very good Chelsea side who are currently sitting third in the Premier League, only one of 3 teams to only lose one game this season, won 6, drawn 4, and we're coming into it without, let's be honest, our 2 most creative players in James Rodriguez and Luca Dean, and then that sort of consistency in the defence with Seamus Coleman. So it's going to be very, very difficult. Before we pass it over to Cal and talk a little bit more about this game and our predicted starting 11s, I just want to say a massive shout out, happy birthday to Owen over in Australia. It's his 15th birthday tomorrow, so hopefully the Blues can get the 3 points for your birthday, mate. Your dad Richard got in touch with me on social media, on Twitter, and said you all really enjoyed the channel, so big thanks to everybody for that. Really do appreciate it, and I hope you have a fantastic birthday, mate. And like I said, hopefully the Blues can get the 3 points for Owen. But into this one, Cal, it's going to be difficult, isn't it? It really is. Obviously without James Rodriguez, just makes things 10 times more difficult than they were at 12 o'clock today when we all thought he'd be fit, and we're coming up against a very strong Chelsea team.
Yeah, we're coming up against, a Chelsea team that completely believes in the manager believes in the team. It's kind of hard when you come up against these teams. It's like playing United under Solskjaer, they have so much passion for the team that they manage that they can pull results even if they're not the best manager, I looked at Lampard while he were at Derby. Look at what he gets out of Mason Mount, to put it simply. Mason Mount always has had his best performances under Lampard at Derby. Then he had a bit of a slow year under Sarri. I think he was at Chelsea with Sarri. I'm going to say that. I might be wrong. Put it in the comments if I am. But, Lampard knows how to get the best out of his squad. The money's being invested. And, you look at players like Thiago Silva, who now Chelsea went from a defence that we were able to put, I think we put 2 past them.
Yeah.
With Duncan Ferguson as the
3-1
as manager. Yeah, 3-1. No offense to Duncan Ferguson, probably not the best manager. Probably scared them all into winning. But Chelsea are a team that we will always seem to have a one up against. We always seem to be able to grab one result against Chelsea, but then the other result's always a 4-0 drubbing or something. But they don't have Everton's kryptonite in Pedro anymore, so that's good news for us. Always seem to score a screamer against us. But Chelsea are a hard team. If you're in the live stream, you heard me say I think Chelsea are the best attack in the league right now. 25 goals in 11 games. So much creativity on the team. You've got Werner, Havertz, then you've got Abraham, you've got all these players. Let's not even ignore the bench where they've got players like Hudson-Odoi, Giroud. They've got all these good players that they can just throw at us. Like, most of their second team would get in our first team, to put it simply. And I think this is the best first team, ability-wise, we've had in a long time. But what we need to do is, as I said in the live stream again, we need to sit back, soak up the pressure like we did when Carlo first joined. you'll get why I think soak up the pressure in the formation I say we should play later on. But when you soak up the pressure, hit them on the counter and punish them. We know the Chelsea defence can make lapses in concentration. Thiago Silva's been great for him. He's got everyone playing well. Kurt Zuma's Chelsea's top goal scorer right now with 4. Rudiger's turned from a mistake-prone bit of a pleb at the back to looking like a really solid centre-back. So, we have to go into this game being careful, and we need to try scrape out a win, because I don't think we can go off, lost. We've got a tough game against Leicester next at midweek. Then we've got teams like Arsenal. I'm pretty sure we've got Man City. I'm pretty sure we've got United Cup. We've got all these tough games coming up. A win against Chelsea could turn our form. And, Leicester are a bit of an up-and-down team. So, if we can beat Chelsea, I'm confident we can beat Leicester. And if we can beat Chelsea, I'm confident we can beat most teams in the league, probably except Spurs and Liverpool right now. So, I think what we need to do is fans need to not expect a barnstormer of a game. They just expect us to try to take the points. Don't expect much.
Yeah. Well, it is, of course, the first game that fans will be allowed back into Goodison Park since, obviously, the pandemic hit. 2,000 fans will be into Goodison Park tomorrow, and hopefully making it, a good sort of atmosphere and a horrible atmosphere for Chelsea, and making it difficult for them and difficult for them to come and settle and play their nice football. They have got some, good players, talented players. Kai Havertz, who I think is a really, really good player. He's got a lot of potential. Timo Werner, who, has had a bit of the mick taken out of him over the last couple of weeks, but he's a clinical finisher. Pulisic, who I'm a massive fan of. Obviously, you mentioned Kurt Zouma there, who we know very well. Ziyech as well, who I think is a fantastic player. They've got a good squad, Chelsea, and a good squad of young players as well, who have got a lot of future ahead of them. A long future ahead of them. And I feel like that's something that Frank Lampard's done since he's been at Chelsea, is he's brought in players for the long run rather than the short term, and he's brought in players that at this moment, are decent players but mightn't necessarily be world beaters, but in 5 or 6 years or 4 or 5 years, maybe even shorter than that, 2 or 3 years, they may be absolutely world class. Obviously, Frank Lampard is a player that played under Carlo Ancelotti at Chelsea, and he had a lot of praise for him in his pre-game press conference, and he spoke about how fondly he remembers him, and he remembers playing under him, and how successful that Chelsea team was. So this is going to be a real test for Everton, a real test. We do massively have to step it up. Chelsea at the moment, no doubt about it, are one of the best teams in the Premier League. They are susceptible to making a defensive mistake and conceding goals. They've conceded 11 so far this season, scored 25. But one thing that Chelsea seem to be doing, you've seen it in their last Premier League game against Leeds, they concede and then they sort of just pick it up a level, and it's almost like they wake up. And that's sort of what we want to see from Everton, and we did see from Everton at the start of the season, where we were conceding silly goals and then going, no, you know what, we're better than that, we're just going to go up the other end and score 2. Whereas now it seems like we're seeing flashbacks of this Everton team from 12 or 18 months ago, where we're conceding and their heads are just dropping and they don't really want to be interested. But like we said, it's a big game for Carlo Ancelotti. It's a big game for Everton. Carlo obviously had his press conference today. He was asked again about formations. He pretty much recited the same answer as he did last week, and talking about how we've got multiple different options in terms of we can play with a 5, we can play with a 4 at the back, that is. I think formation's a big thing for this game, Cal. We'll go into our predicted starting 11s in a moment, but for me, we have to switch to a 4 at the back. Now, obviously, James Rodriguez is out injured for this game, so usually I'd be sitting here saying we switch to a 4 at the back, it goes as a 4-3-3, but now with James out, there is a potential that we could change it to maybe a 4-4-2 and have Dom and Richarlison as the leading 2 up front. But like I said, we'll go through our predicted starting 11s in a moment. But for me, we have to switch back to a 4 at the back. I think everybody understands it a lot more than a 5 at the back. I think universally the communication's a lot better with a 4 at the back. And I just think we play our best football using a formation that allows 4 straight defenders, right back, left back, and 2 centre backs. The 5 at the back has worked. It's worked when Luka Dean was in the team. It hasn't worked when he hasn't been in the team. And like I said at the start of the season, we really have been ripped of our creativity. Dean's out, probably, joint, I'd say, our most creative player with James Rodriguez, who of course is out. And you look at this Everton team now and you think, right, okay, we probably only got Richarlison there, who's capable of really creating something out of nothing. And Richarlison hasn't been on fantastic form in recent weeks, so it's going to be especially difficult, isn't it, mate? How big do you think Carlo's team selection is for tomorrow, and ultimately the formation in which he decides to go with?
I think it's massive to everything. I don't get me wrong. I actually am one of the very few people that like the three at the back. I think it can work very well if you've got the right personnel, and I think the team was starting to get used to it. And don't get me wrong, the Burnley game was just us making silly mistakes and then not capitalising on the mistakes they made. It was. I don't think you can blame the formation for it. I think we should have probably scored 2 or 3 more, but we just didn't. Like I said in the last preview, Nick Pope was going to trouble us. He did exactly that. But going into this game, I think the three at the back could be effective against Chelsea just because of how much they have going forward. But I think the problem is we may have a bit of an open midfield, and I want us to have a solid back line and a solid midfield that Chelsea can't just push through. So I think I'm going to have to agree with you at the 4 at the back. We were talking about it on Twitter a few hours ago. I think we do have to play the 4 at the back. I just think we don't have the stuff for wing backs right now. Personally, I don't think without James we should be playing a formation where we pick it up, we play it slow, we pass around. We need quick counter attacks. We need to go to old school Everton football, long ball, cross. I feel like that's how we've got to play against this Chelsea side.
No, spot on. And like you said, I just personally think at the moment, certainly with certain players out, James being one of them, Luca Dean being one of them, we need to sort of play to the sense of everybody else, really. It's okay, and Carlo was asked today about James and his the criticism that he's had in terms of defensively, and he said, look, I didn't bring him in to defend, I brought him in to attack, and that's what I want him to do. I'm not really bothered about what he does defensively, and that's okay when you've got somebody like a James Rodriguez in there, and you play to their strengths and you play to their ability ultimately, but when you take those players out and you're replacing them with players that aren't anywhere near as good or have anywhere near as the impact, then you need to play to the strengths of the whole team, and for me that's massively important for Everton to do that. But it's going to be a very, very difficult game of football. Chelsea, like I said, are a team coming in with a lot of confidence. They're a team that'll fancy themselves as title challengers this season as well. Let's not sit here and act like you've got Manchester City and Liverpool at the top of the league who are beating everybody and flying around everybody. They're not. The league is very inconsistent this season, very inconsistent. Anyone can beat anyone. And sides like Chelsea, especially on the form that they're on, will fancy themselves as title contenders this season, and they'll look at it and they'll think, well, if we can keep up this good form, if we can carry on beating teams, if we can carry on winning the games that we should be winning, then come the end of the season, we might be sitting there within a touching distance of the Premier League title. And that's what Frank Lampard's ultimately is goal will be. He won't say it because he's not going to come out 6 weeks, 7 weeks into a Premier League. It's actually more 12 weeks into a Premier League season and say, we're going to focus on winning the league. He'll come out and say we'll take it game by game like every other manager does. But Chelsea will fancy themselves as contenders for the title this season because of the form that they're on currently, the fact that they can score goals, the fact that they may be susceptible to conceding a silly goal every now and then, but overall defensively they've only conceded 11 so far this season. And they're getting results. Ultimately, they're getting results. So, anyway, going into the predicted starting 11s, then we'll do what we usually do on the streams. We'll do a goalkeeper, back four, midfield, forward line. So I'll go first. My goalkeeper, Jordan Pickford. Again, was he at blame for the goal last week against Burnley? Potentially. I think it was quite harsh. I think the defence, again, just allowed somebody to take a shot from 20-odd yards out, which is just unacceptable for me. But Jordan Pickford could have probably done a little bit better. Back line then, in regards to Jordan Pickford, he's going to be in there, isn't he? Unless unless Robin Olsen is back from injury, and Carlo decides to throw Robin Olsen in there in one of these mad, strange moves that we can't really see coming, then I think Jordan Pickford will be in there. Back line, I've gone for a 4 at the back, because I think we need to play a 4 at the back formation. Now this is where it gets a little bit strange. Now, well, it's not strange, but this is where it becomes a predicted starting 11 rather than a preferred starting 11. Left back, I've gone for Ben Godfrey. Now, I would prefer Niles Nkunku to be at left back because I want Niles Nkunku to be in this team. Just on a note of left back, by the way, we spoke about it on the weekly news roundup. Young Thierry Small, 16-year-old left back from the under-23s, took part in today's first team training session. Doesn't indicate whether he'll be in the squad or the team tomorrow, of course, but he took place in the training session, so definitely shows how well he's doing considering it was only a couple of months ago he was playing in the under-18s. So I've gone with Ben Godfrey at left back. I want Niles Nkunku to get a chance in this team. I think Niles Nkunku should get a chance in this team. I think he deserves it. I think Carlo Ancelotti's second choice left back was clearly Fabian Delph. That didn't work because he went off injured after 20 minutes. Luca Dean's still out injured. I just can't see Niles Nkunku getting an opportunity. I just can't. Look, I know we want him to. I know we're all screaming for it. I know we're all shouting for it. But I just think that Carlo will go with the same as that he went with last week, and he won't even be in the 18. That's just how I feel. And if that's the case, I think Carlo will look at Ben Godfrey and think, you done a decent job last week against Burnley, which to be fair he did. And I can see Ben Godfrey starting. Would I start him personally there, left back? No. Done a live stream on Wednesday about our best defensive lineup, and I said I don't want Ben Godfrey playing at left back because for me, he had been brought in as a centre-half, and that ultimately is, halting his development to become a centre-half, but I can just see him playing there tomorrow. Two centre-backs have gone for Yerry Mina and Michael Keane. Again, started against Burnley. Individually done okay. When we were playing in a 5 at the back, they weren't great, but individually, they were okay. They defended well apart in the game. And then I've actually gone for Mason Holgate at right back. Again, similar situation to the John Joe Kenny thing. I just don't think Carlo Ancelotti fancies John Joe Kenny. Mason has played right back before, of course. Now, it could be Tom Davies at right back. It could be Alex Iwobi at right back. But when we get later on into the predicted starting 11, you'll see where I've put Alex Iwobi because obviously James Rodriguez is injured. But again, I just think that he may go with Mason at right back just to give us that strength on the right hand side, I suppose. Again, not fond of it personally. I'd rather Mason Holgate be playing his football at centre half, but ultimately, if we were doing a preferred 11, it'd look a lot different to this. But let's be honest, when was the last time Carlo Ancelotti put a starting 11 out that we all said that I prefer that? It doesn't really happen often, does it? So anyway, that's my backline that I think Carlo will go with. Pickford, Godfrey left back, Mina and Keane centre half, and Holgate right back. Who's yours, mate?
Right, I'm going for John Pickford in goal. Of course, I am. Listen, he's been getting better each week, in my opinion. Like you said, I think it's the defence's fault. I think they should have looked at the Rafinha goal last week and been like, "Oh, our goalkeeper's got T-Rex arms. Let's not let people blast it from 20 yards out." Because it's the weird thing is, I'm pretty sure Brady and Rafinha both shot in the exact same corner of the goal.
It was carbon copy.
That's what I mean. So, the centre-back should be closing people down on long shots now, especially against Chelsea, who, if you ever watched Havertz for Leverkusen, Havertz could probably hit it from 40 yards and find a way to score. So I don't really want us to risk that. But I'm going to scream and I'm going to have to shout, Cam, because it's Niles Nkunku at left back.
Listen, mate, I'm not disagreeing. I want Niles Nkunku to play left back before everyone's in the comments going, "Oh, you don't want him there." I want him there. I just don't think Carlo will put him there.
Don't worry, I know that Cammy wants him at left back. But my thinking process is Ben Godfrey will get ripped to part by Pulisic or Ziyech. He's a centre-back. If you are putting Ziyech, who right now is arguably one of, if not the best dribbler in the Premier League, against Godfrey, I love Ben Godfrey. I think he's been our best centre-back over this past when he's been given the chance. But I also don't want to see Ben Godfrey get put on his arse 5 or 6 times by Ziyech, and have his confidence ruined. Don't get me wrong. Ziyech can easily do the same to Nkunku. He can probably do it more to Nkunku because of the inexperience. But Nkunku's one of those players who's just so athletic that Ziyech will just be sat there trying to take a touch on the ball and bam, Nkunku's with him in seconds. Yeah. He's so quick and he's so... And part of me thinks Thierry Small's been brought up as maybe Ancelotti's like, right, I have no left backs. I'm not going to play Ben Godfrey. I don't know. I might be complimenting Ancelotti too much, and that might be a mad statement, but surely he isn't going to put a centre-back against some of the best wingers in the Premier League. You know what I mean? Because if Lampard predicts Godfrey at left-back, he'll probably put Werner on the right, and then that's it. You know what I mean? So I'm putting faith, I'm putting in Nkunku, and to be fair, this team is more preferred than predicted, because I did an article today, so I've been sat studying Chelsea all day, and I think I might have found the weakness. This is proof I've been playing too much Football Manager, but we're going to go for it. So we've got Godfrey and Keane at centre-back. I think Godfrey's the most athletic centre-back we've got. I used to think it was Holgate, but after watching Godfrey run up with the ball sometimes, it does shock me how quick he actually is. And that's to stop those inside runs from Werner. If Werner runs inside, Godfrey's the only centre-back we have who may be able to keep some ground with Werner, who I think is one of the quickest players in the Prem. So we need someone who athletically can keep up. Godfrey can win those balls in the air. And then at right back is where I got stuck. I've been sat here, Cammy, before we started for around half an hour going, who's playing right back? I'm sorry, I'm sorry, John Joe, it's not you. I thought Coleman before the press conference might be back, and I was hoping. But I've decided to go for the risky, and even with a 4 at the back, I'm going for Alex Iwobi at right back because he's impressed over and over again. And if I didn't play him at right back, I'd play him right midfield because I don't know, I think he's better on that right hand side than he is on the left. For me, he seems to perform so much better, so I've gone with that. And I mean, to be honest, Cammy, this is probably not even the weirdest part of my team. It gets weirder when we get into the midfield.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Well, let's not waste any time then. Let's fly straight into the midfield. My midfield 3, I've gone for a 4-3-3, by the way. I was contemplating going for a 4-4-2, but I just think he'll revert back to a 4-4-3. I've gone with Alam, Abdoulaye Doucouré, and Andre Gomez in there. It's not ideal because the jury's still out for me for Andre Gomez, but when he come on against Burnley, he did show the midfield up. Everybody looked more comfortable. Now, whether that was because Gomez was on the pitch or whether that was because the formation had changed, I don't know. But the other two midfielders in Alan and Doucouré, for me, just improved massively when Gomez come on. And I just, again, Alan and Doucouré, both of them, fantastic in patches. Other times dreadful. They need to add some consistency to their game as well, but I think to be fair to them, they are a lot more suited to playing a 4-3-3 formation. So that's my midfield 3, mate. I've gone for Alan, Doucouré, and listen, if you're playing a 4-3-3, you'd have to put somebody else in there, and I don't want to see Gylfi Sigurdsson anywhere near this Everton squad, so it's Andre Gomez for me.
Right, so this is where it gets weird. I'm playing a formation that I don't think we've ever played before under Ancelotti. It's a 4-4-2, yeah, but it's the classic diamond 4-4-2. And my thinking process is this, I'll go through it now before I say it. Chelsea can't cross a football. I'm looking at it here. So here's one for you. Reece James plays about 6.5 crosses a game. 5 of those are completely inaccurate. Chilwell, about 5 crosses a game, 4 crosses a game. 3 of those are inaccurate. So I don't get me wrong, that one accurate one might slip through, but my thinking process is Keane Southern in the area will be able to stop it. So if we can force them to let their fullbacks cross, I think that's the way we're going to have to do it. We need to win in the centre, I think. And especially if they play someone like Ziyech through the middle or Havertz through the middle, we need to win the midfield battle. We need to dominate the midfield in this game. And I think that's the only way we've got to go through winning. Don't get me wrong, if Ancelotti for some reason is reading my mind and does this, we might lose 6-0 and I might hold my hands up and go, listen.
You'll get some comments.
I'll put my hands up and say, listen, too much Football Manager this week. I do apologise. But I think I'm just looking at it here. I've got the stats up in front of me, and I don't know if this is me looking too much into stats. I do like my stats, Cam, but I'm just looking at it, and it's like it doesn't impress me how bad they are at crossing. It's like Reece James is supposed to be one of the better right backs in the league, and he looks like he can barely cross a ball. But if we can win the midfield battle, that forces Chelsea to go out and cross. That means Chelsea won't come through the middle and try battles in the midfield because, let's face it, but before I'm rambling for too long, defensive midfield is Allen. I think Allen's the obvious choice. Allen's got a great tackle on him. I think he's the closest player in the league to N'Golo Kante. Don't think he's as good, but I think at winning the ball he's a bit better. I don't think his anticipation or his awareness is as good, but I feel like at just winning a tackle he's better. And against someone like Ziyech, I think we need to be physical in this game. I think we need to be honest, we need to go out there and put the hurt on some Chelsea players, like Everton used to it under Moyes. Because I feel like we're the much more physical team. Chelsea have got a lot of technical dribblers. We need to take control of the game. We need to dominate, and that's what we need to do. The central midfielders, I've got Doucouré and Andre Gomez. Listen, I tried to support Gomez for so long. When I first watched him join on loan from Barcelona, it's just the way he passed the ball, the way he moved. Everything seemed so silky, and now he's stiff as a board because of the leg break. But we've got to put faith in him because I feel like who else have we got? I was considering Iwobi in this spot. But then I could switch it to Iwobi and Kenny at right back, but I just don't. I feel like the worst part for Kenny is Iwobi's probably better defensively than Kenny, and so I decided to go Gomez because Gomez can pick out those passes. And if we're dominating the midfield, Gomez will have time on the ball, and that's when Gomez is at his best, when he has time on the ball to pick out those smart passes. And before I say the attacking midfielder, because this is my hit and hope, this is my please Carlo.
I already know what you're gonna go for.
Because you've deprived us from it for too long now. But I feel like we need to be smarter on the ball. Against Burnley, against Leeds, we gave the ball away so much, and I was just sat there watching like, what are we doing? We gave away the ball so much with stupid Barcelona tiki-taka football. We need to take the ball, take a few touches, pick out the smart pass, not pick out the long ball to Calvert-Lewin, pick out the most open player we can find. And it's not like Alan's a stupid player. He's played years of Champions League football. He knows what he's doing. Decore, I've seen him do it at Watford multiple times. But my attacking midfielder can, and I'm praying to someone above. It's Anthony Gordon. Because if I have to watch Gylfi Sigurdsson play another 90 minutes of football, I'm turning the game off. I'm not watching it, and I mean that. I'm not watching it. He's the best we've got. He's going to play with heart. He's going to push the defence. He's going to just do everything we need in a game to win against Chelsea. Don't get me wrong, Sigurdsson can shoot from 30 yards out. That's all he can do.
Well, he can't even do that anymore.
No, he can't. Bernard, I feel like Bernard would have been a decent choice. And, he showed when he played and got the goal against... Who was it?
Man United.
Oh, Man United. That he can have those games. But at the same time, I just feel like I just want Anthony Gordon to play. My head is saying, listen, if Carlo plays this, Bernard's playing attacking midfield or Sigurdsson's playing it. But I just want to see Anthony Gordon get a chance. And you know what, Carlo, why not? At this point, why not? I feel like with all the injuries we're getting, we need to give people like Gordon more chances just in case we get a big injury. Because I think we just need a big exodus in January, and Carlo needs to look at these young players like Nkunku and Gordon and just go, I trust you. Because let's face it, they're going to be like, why can't I leave on loan in January then? And then if that's literally... I don't think Carlo has clicked on to how good Anthony Gordon is, really. Because I think Carlo's managed these teams like Real Madrid. He looks for the technical player. He looks for the player that's good on the ball. And don't get me wrong, Anthony Gordon's good on the ball, but he's not the most technical player. But what he can do is he can work, and he's technical enough to where he can cause damage. We gave Wayne Rooney a chance at 16. Why can't we give players like Gordon and Nkunku a chance? We're still a club. I don't think the owners or even Ancelotti have realised. We're still a club that should rely on that youth academy because it's so good and it's been so consistent for us for years. That why don't we give it a chance? We're the underdogs. If we can go in and give these young players a chance against a huge team like Chelsea and they can perform, we may lose, but that's such a performance booster going into the future for us. So I've gone for Alan, Decore, Andre Gomez and Gordon in the attacking midfield.
There you go. Listen, I can't say I'd be disappointed with that, to be honest. You said it before yourself. You've gone for your preferred 11 and then I've more gone for a predicted 11. But look, again, like you said there, Anthony Gordon, he's a player that would... come in and play with heart, and it's been just over a year. I think it was a year on Monday or Tuesday or something like that, since Everton took on Chelsea last season at Goodison Park and Duncan Ferguson took charge of his first game, and we beat them 3-1 that day. And that day, we had a manager in charge who instilled that heart, he instilled that passion, he instilled that fight into the team, and each and every Everton player on that day played with fight and passion and energy, and even if they weren't as technically as good as some of the players on the Chelsea team, they outworked them and they outfought them on that day, and that was ultimately what won us that game of football, and it was what bred that confidence boost to carry on winning games of football. Carlo Ancelotti come in, we then went on a decent run with Carlo. So sometimes you do just need those players in there that are going to work hard and are going to run around and are going to put in a fight, and that ultimately lifts the spirit of everybody else then. And I think Anthony Gordon is a perfect example of a player who could do that. Going into my front three then, I've gone for Richarlison over on the left-hand side. Pretty self-explanatory, playing a 4-3-3. Richarlison plays on the left. Again, needs to improve for me. Needs to be a bit more consistent. He obviously got the assist against Burnley, which was a fantastic assist, but then didn't really do an awful lot more after that. So he needs to add a little bit of consistency to his game. But he's a fantastic player. I absolutely love Richarlison, and I hope to God he never leaves Everton Football Club because I think he's boss. I've gone with Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front. Again, got the goal against Burnley last time out. Pretty self-explanatory. Don't really need to talk about Dom. A lot of the reason is because he's boss. The rest of the reason is because we've got nobody else to play there. And then on the right, I've gone for Alex Iwobi. I just think that Carlo will look at Alex Iwobi and think, right, if you're not playing right back or right wing back, you're playing right wing, because he's much better on the right hand side. We know this. He's been in and around the team over the last couple of weeks or so, starting games of football, and when you look at that right wing position and you take James out of it, you're probably looking at Alex Iwobi to step in. Yes, you've got Bernard there, I wouldn't be massively opposed to seeing, but again, Bernard needs to add that consistency. You've got Anthony Gordon there as well, but Again, I'd love to see him, but I don't think Carlo will go with him. So I think it will be Iwobi. So I've gone for Richie, DCL, and Alex Iwobi. Who are your two up front? I assume I know who they are, but go on.
I've gone for Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Cenk Tosun. I've gone for Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison. God, I hope Cenk Tosun never plays for Everton again. But they're the two best good forwards we've got. You know what I mean? I feel like playing Richarlison as a striker may be a good idea to get his confidence back. You know, Richarlison hat trick against Chelsea incoming, but we'd still lose 6-3, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I feel like it's the obvious pairing. They work together so well. They have their moments, don't get me wrong. There's moments in the Burnley game I was like, Richarlison, just pass the ball, mate. You don't need to keep shooting. You know, I think Richarlison wants to score, and I think it's so good to be watching passionate to get goals for the club, but then you're like, you know he wants to score, so you know he's being a bit more greedy than usual. But I feel like Richarlison understands the nature of this game, how important a win would be for us going into this tough December run. So I've got faith in the front two. I do think we're going to get a goal or two in this game, and I think they're the two to do it. Dom's the top scorer in the league. You know, going off statistics, it looks like he might end up with like 35, 36 goals this season if he don't slow down. So, you know what I mean? It's an obvious choice. And don't get me wrong, I do think we need to put a striker on the bench if we play 4-4-2. Give Sims the chance to play 20 minutes. You know, do we have another choice? No, because what has Cenk Tosun done whenever he's played for Everton? Because then it's just, unless he takes Dom off for him, and then we're just going to cross. And I will fall asleep on my couch watching the game. I will bring my covers down to sleep because I'm not watching a crossfest.
Well, there you go. And again, like you said, you know, Ellis Sims, another young player who is, I'd probably not say knocking on the door as much as Nkunku and Gordon. He's a little bit further behind that, but he's definitely on his way to the house to knock on the door behind the list of Anthony Gordon and Niles Nkunku who are trying their desperately hard to get in this team and they can't. But there you go. They are our predicted starting 11s. Mine is Pickford. Again, predicted. Godfrey at left back. I'd rather have Nkunku, but I just think he'll go with Godfrey. Meenan and Keane centre half, with Holgate at right back, Alan Decore and Gomez in the middle, and Richarlison, DCL and Iwobi. Cal's is Pickford in goal, Nkunku at left back. Was it Godfrey and Keane at centre half, and then Iwobi at right back? And then a midfield four in a diamond shape of Alan at the bottom, Decore and Gomez in the middle, Gordon in the 10 or the cam role, and then Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison up top. So there you go. Let us know your thoughts on those. Just to summarise then and finish it up, it's going to be a difficult game, mate. Chelsea had a very, very good side. That a side that we certainly need to be on our absolute best to beat. And again, they're a very good team going forward as well. So we absolutely need to cut out these silly mistakes defensively and just gifting teams goals. We can't be standing 5 or 10 yards off Timo Werner or Kai Havertz or Mason Mount, and allowing them to have a shot because it's far too risky. And as well, we need to be a lot stronger and a lot more solid defensively and take our chances going forward, which seems silly to say because that's almost the game plan in every game of football, but ultimately this is going to be very, very difficult, isn't it? What I do want to say before we finish, if you're one of, or multiple of the 2,000 fans returning to Goodison Park tomorrow, enjoy it. It's going to be a very, very unique experience. It's going to be different to anything any of us have ever witnessed before. It won't be ideal, obviously. Ideal would be 40,000 Evertonians standing and screaming, but enjoy it and go and make it hard for Chelsea and go and make it boss for those Everton players. I apologise you can't see James Rodriguez in the flesh, but that's just Everton, isn't it? The first time fans are back in the stadium and James has picked up an injury. But it's going to be a tough game, isn't it, mate, tomorrow? It's going to be a difficult one. We have to be on our best, and ultimately, we have to be able to stand and match Chelsea. And like I said before, work harder than them and show the effort and show the fight. Anyway, that's going to do it for this preview. Massive thanks to Cal for coming on. Got anything to say, Cal, before we finish up?
Just the usual. Follow me on Twitter. I've got 2 new articles up for you to all read today. We've got one on 3 Chelsea players that I think we need to neutralise, and my weekly transfer rumour roundup. So please give those a read if you can. Share them if you can. Obviously you don't have to, but any little bit of view counts because I do get paid for it, and university is quite an expensive habit. But yeah, thanks for having me on again, Cal.
No problem at all. Definitely go and check out Cal's Twitter and the articles on Prince Rupert's Tower. If you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. Like I said at the start, I apologise it wasn't live. We did try and go live with it, but the computer was having all of these technical issues and it just wouldn't have been worth it, basically. So a big thanks to everybody for watching the video. If you've enjoyed it, please do leave a like. Still get involved. I'll be in the comment section today. Usually I'm obviously reading the live comments and getting involved there. I'll be in the comment section getting involved with the discussion, so get your comments in. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so to the channel. It only takes a second. Don't forget to leave the video a like. The weekly news roundup video is live on the channel now, so you can go and check that out. We talk about the latest Everton news. And other than that, massive game tomorrow. We'll be back with the instant match reaction and the player ratings, and hopefully Cal's instant match reaction tomorrow as well, so don't forget to join us for those ones. Big thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon.